live on the air. I'm Richard Sales.
This is wild.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Sale, and today is probably the big episode you've all been waiting for in terms of the pick. In case you don't know the pick by now, you've been sleeping under a rock for 2 weeks. The Super Bowl 57 official pick. But we've had a lot that's happened in 2 weeks, okay? We've had the greatest of all time, the best quarterback ever to retire, Tom Brady. I'll give my thoughts on that in just a second. We've got the NFL honors tomorrow, which they pick the NFL awards. They pick the 2023 Hall of Fame class. And then we'll get to the keys of the game for each team, the big matchup of the game, and then I'll give you the pick. So that's how we're going to do today's show. Figured it's short, simple, get right to the point, and next week we'll just go on, talk about the game, and pretty much that's the end of the NFL season for us. It's come by so fast. We started back in preseason, and fast forward to here right now. Just crazy. So, let's get to the big news. I took a week off, wanted to have a lot more content for this particular episode because we have the big game, we have a lot of other things. So I figured we save this topic first to open up today's show. Now, those of you that have joined late in the year, you guys know that, those of you that joined late, I am a Patriots fan, okay? Those people that know me as a huge Patriots fan, okay? First football game I ever heard about, okay, was the 18-0 year against the Giants, all right? So I'm going way back, okay? So they were the big team, 18-0. Giants were in the Super Bowl, obviously the local states team. Growing up with a lot of Giants and Jet fans, okay? As a little kid, you want to see history be made, right? You want to see 19-0. You want to be like, wow, where was I when they went this, right? And little kid old me wanted to build a Lego set instead of watch the game. That just shows you what little kid me was doing as opposed to where I am now, okay? But trust me, when I learned the Patriots lost, me and a friend were not happy about it that day. The gloating sucked, okay? I really became a fan late 08 because I said, okay, that's my team. Navy blue, the gray helmets, the red, white, and blue on the side with the logo. It just starstruck me, okay? I was like, okay, this is my team. And you got to factor in, it was always like dark, cloudy, you had snow. It was like, oh man, this is perfect. This is perfect football weather. This is my team. It was like, I don't know if I could describe it. It was like Gillette I viewed as like a snow globe, right? But even when it wasn't snowing, you had like dark clouds. It was rainy. It was just awesome. And for some reason, I liked it when I watched the late 08 games with Matt Castle and Wes Welker and Randy Moss for a couple years. Surprisingly, that was the first year I actually watched Patriot games. Was the year Brady was out with the torn ACL. So late 08. We didn't make the playoffs that year. First game I ever watched Tom Brady in was the Monday night opener against the Bills in 2009, his first game back. And I remember clear as day, I'm watching it with my dad. And I'm thinking, okay, we're projected to win the division. Buffalo Bills got Terrell Owens at the time. I think Marshawn Lynch was a third-year running back at the time. They had some good players. And we're down 12 points with, I think, a little under 5 to go in the game. And we score. Benjamin Watson, pull within 5. And we kick it off. Leos McKelvin fumbles. And we get the ball back. Tom again goes to Benjamin Watson. And we win the game 25-24. And that was when we had the AFL Boston Patriot jerseys with Pat Patriot on the logo. A lot of people like that. I like the ones that we had, during the 2000s to the 2010s. That's just me. Okay, but everybody likes their own uniforms, and that's okay. But, so the first playoff game I think I wanted to watch, and I'm not embarrassed to share this story because this is funny when I laugh about this now. Okay. It was, I forgot what, I remember where I was. It was at Freehold Mall. I either had to get a haircut or get shoes because my mom needed me to get a haircut and shoes, but she picked the worst day to do it because it's the Patriots playoff game. Now keep in mind the week before, Wes Welker tore his ACL. Okay? So you got to understand me at the time thinking, I want to watch this. This is my first time I'm getting to watch the Patriots play in a playoff game. Okay? At the time, this was like 2010, late half of the 2009 season. It's weird for me to say this, but in a weird way, dare I say I was glad to not watch that game because that was known as the Ray Rice game. Okay? And it was brutal. We lost 33-14. That was rough. And in 2010, we get Gronk. And then, before he got into trouble, Aaron Hernandez. We go 14-2 the next year. Number 1 seed. Fortunately, lost to the Jets in the first round. They gave us some fits with Rex Ryan and Revis and Cromartie. And just Rex Ryan knew how to F shit up for us. He did. Then we had our way with them for most of the years. 2011 we go to the Super Bowl, play the Giants, and I'm thinking, all right, we're gonna beat them. This is payback for 2007. It's not how that game worked out. Walker drops a ball slightly over, but it was catchable. And Manning throws a prayer, Mario Manningham. We let Bradshaw score. I'm thinking we have a shot to win the game. Not our day. Then, you get a couple nice pieces in 2012, 2013. Hightower, Chandler Jones, Jamie Collins. Lose 2 AFC Championship games. 2014. When we got basically our version of Dion, even though he wasn't Dion, I'm just saying that was like a big move for us. We get Revis from the Jets. And that put us over the top against teams like Baltimore, Denver. The Colts were coming along at that time. So Pittsburgh was young at that point. And that was the piece that I knew would get us back to where we were going to go. Brandon Browner was an underrated signing that year. And you can't see it, but I'm looking directly at one of my bookshelves. And the moment happens where Malcolm Butler, I have a picture of him catching the interception on Lockett as my memory of the first Super Bowl win. And it's the thing I'll remember the most about it. But what I also won't forget, I had family friends. I had some of my friends from high school over. And they were telling me it's over in this game. 24-14. I know Yoham's watching. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. My dad, me, and Yoham, who I know is watching, he knows. I looked, I said, this game's not over. I said, we still got a shot. Down 10 in the fourth against the Legion of Boom. Beat up Peyton Manning the year before. Edelman makes a tough catch on Cam Chancellor. I don't know how he still got up and ran for additional yards after that hit. But Tom goes right down, throws a touchdown to Amendola, puts us down 3. We get a drive. Tom hits a couple big plays to Gronk. Edelman catches a touchdown with a little over 2 minutes to go. Malcolm Butler happens. Tom beat the Legion of Boom. 2 drives, he scored a touchdown on them. And beat them. The Legion of Boom had just smacked Peyton Manning in the #1 scoring offense Broncos the year before. That's something that was huge. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Sherman were hurt. Bottom line is, if you're in uniform and you're playing, the injury becomes an afterthought to the outside view. Because we don't know if you're hurt at all. Just looking at it from an outside view. I'll never forget the game where he actually came back down 24 against that Broncos team the year before. And I remember saying, yeah, that's going to be a rough one. And, first drive we come out, score. Second drive, 24-14, right? They give us after a Monty Ball fumble. That's how crazy I remember this game. Gronk catches another one, 24-21. I'm like, we got a shot at this. And we end up winning the game because Tony Carter, the ball touches his hip, and Walker's trying to not fair catch it, but Tony Carter got in the way. We kicked the game-winning field goal. That was one of the craziest games I ever seen Tom Brady have. All for first half, but in the second half, he was basically perfect. Which brings me to the Atlanta Super Bowl. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Okay? I'm not going to go through the whole day now. Okay? But I do remember we had Joey, the NBA nerd, on here. He watched this with me. He's watching right now. We're down 21-3 at half. I'm emotional thinking, man, I got to go in tomorrow and hear everybody say, your guy played a horrible Super Bowl. My version of Peyton Manning against the Legion of Boom. That's basically at that point what I'm thinking. What do I even say? And Dan Quinn, who was the coach of the Falcons, was Seattle's defensive coordinator, the year Seattle went to the Super Bowl. 28-3, I'm thinking, this is going to end ugly. And then, little did I know at the time, little did anybody know that there was still some time on the clock and there was an outside chance of the game being a historic comeback. We go down, Brady scrambles for first on 3rd and 8, and James White catches the first touchdown. 28-9, I want to say that was. Gostowski kicks a field goal, 28-12. And I'm looking at my friend, I'm going, well, tomorrow's going to be rough. Right when I said that, Dante Hightower gets a strip sack, and I told my friend Joey, we got a shot to win this game. We go down, Amendola catches a touchdown. We did Statue of Liberty 2-point conversion, and we're down 8. Julio catch happens next drive. I'm going, it's always us and some crazy catch in the Super Bowl, except for the one against the Rams. okay? And we get a sack, big holding call that helped. Kyle Shanahan mucking the game up, you could say, but we get the ball pinned at our own 9. We got to go 91 yards with a chance to tie it. And then we finally have our crazy catch moment. To me, the best catch in Super Bowl history. I don't care about David Tyree's. Nah. That ball that Edelman caught was an inch from the ground. If I could literally try to point to this table, it's literally an inch from the ground. And he gets 2 hands on the ball. I'm looking dead zoomed into my TV. I'm literally like 2 feet from it. I'm telling my friend, that's a catch. We go down and tie the game at 28. As soon as we won the coin toss, I told my friend, we're winning this game. Crazy swing of emotions that I'll remember. And the reason I tell you guys these stories is because when you have an icon of your team, and I may not like some of your teams, but when you have an icon, whether it's you're a Patriot fan or any of your teams, you always have stories, moments, games that stick out. And these are mine, for me. Okay? So, allow me to share this with you. So, we end up winning. I'll never forget the days I was waiting and all the Giant fans were shit-talking us after the Super Bowl. Boy, did they not want to deal with me after the Seattle and Atlanta Super Bowls because I let them all know about it. Okay? And I know that some of my high school buddies might be watching. Okay? I know we had one on 2 weeks ago. He used to be a Brady hater for ball. But, yeah, those were some icons. Those were some moments that I love sharing because it's like yesterday to me. But to see him gone and retire and go on to his new career at Fox, and that should be really fun to at least see him call a game now, starting in 24. I realized that I picked the right choice for my team and my favorite player. I think he's the only person I bought 2 jerseys of the same guy outside of like one with another team and stuff like that. But in terms of the same team, I think he's the only NFL jersey I've had with, you get the point. But both Patriot jerseys, by the way. So, and then the cherry on the top was him winning without Belichick in Tampa and beating the shit out of Mahomes. Those cocky Chief bandwagons. That was the best. Okay? Because the media wanted to anoint this guy the next fucking GOAT. And I'm like, listen, you're only poking the bear. You're only doing yourself a disservice by disrespecting him in basically a home Super Bowl for them. And you already have all the outside motivation that he needs. You're just adding fuel to the fire. And you know what Brady said and Tampa said? You want to anoint him the GOAT? Well, guess what? Take that beat-down L back to Kansas City. That's what they said. Because we're enjoying our home Super Bowl win on our turf. You're not doing it on us. That was awesome. That was the cherry on the top, whipped cream on the pie, whatever you want to call it. But so Tom Brady, thank you for the awesome memories. Wish you the best of luck in your post-playing career. I can't wait to watch you on Fox call games. It's going to be awesome for me to actually hear how he does as an analyst. I know people say, oh, he's not going to be great as an analyst. Well, we don't know we don't know the how they do it and all that stuff behind the scenes. We won't know until he actually calls the game and see how he does. But time will tell. But thanks for the memories, Tom. It was awesome. So I wanted to start the show with that because that's something that I wanted to get off my chest early and something that I think you guys would like to hear. Some of my favorite memories, moments, stuff like that. So, let's get to tomorrow's honors. What we're going to do first is we're going to do the awards. And then we're going to do the Hall of Fame class after because they do both on the honors. So this is how we're going to do it. All right. So MVP. I have put my official vote in. I have them on an index card right here. I'm not going to tell you who I have. Okay. But I have my picks in. Okay. It was Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, the 5 finalists for MVP, right? Jalen Hurts got hurt. 2 big critical games the Eagles lost to end the regular season. Now, I said in the midseason edition, I thought he was going to win MVP. But now I feel like, since unfortunately we're living in the National Mahomes League, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Because the media loves him. He can't do no wrong. Okay? Don't think I don't know. No, I do. Okay? He can't do no wrong according to the media. They want to anoint him the GOAT and all that stuff. They want to crown him already. Okay? And I'll get to you Chief bandwagons later when I give you the keys in my pick. Okay? So, but it's going to be it's National Mahomes League we're in, sadly. And Mahomes is going to win MVP, I think. Offensive Player of the Year. I think it was Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and I don't know if it was Josh Jacobs or Nick Chubb as the third slot. I didn't look at the finalists. I just briefly glanced, and I was like, okay, this is my pick. Okay? I'm going Justin Jefferson. He killed me in fantasy every time I versed him, except for the one game he has 2.5 fantasy points, and I lose because of the Bills-Bengals game, and my fantasy team just flopped at the worst time. Okay? But he had a great year. He has the catch, which helps his case for him winning Offensive Player of the Year. Tyreek has a lot of big games, but down the stretch, he kind of quieted down. So I'm going to go Justin Jefferson for Offensive Player of the Year over Tyreek. Defensive Player of the Year, I think it was Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and I forgot who the third one was, but I think it was Chris Jones. I'm not sure about that, but I know it was Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, and I think the third was Chris Jones. I'm going to go with Nick Bosa. Led the league in sacks. Cousin Frankie said it best. Micah Parsons kind of faded down the stretch a little bit. Bosa got better as the season went on. I think he had a great year. I picked him, I think, 2 years ago to win when it was just for a select audience at the time. But, no, I'm going Nick Bosa for Defensive Player of the Year. Led the league in sacks. Number 1 defense the Niners were in most categories. I got to go with Nick Bosa. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is tough because Kenneth Walker started out late. Dameon Pierce flopped from mid-season on. Garrett Wilson, I feel like, is going to win it. Because who else had a better season than Garrett Wilson on offense? Kenneth Walker had a nice season, but better than Garrett Wilson? I don't know. And I just think, okay, Garrett Wilson's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he had the best out of all the offensive players in this class. But I could see Kenneth Walker winning, but if you made me pick, I'm going Garrett Wilson based on the season he had over Kenneth Walker. Defensive Rookie of the Year, this is a landslide, I feel like. It's going to be Sauce Gardner. He had a great year, proved why he was the 3rd pick in the draft, and he's only going to get better and better. Top 5 defensive Jets were in some categories. I think Woolen led the league in picks. Is that enough to say, yeah, he's better than Sauce Gardner? It helps, but Seattle's defense wasn't as good as the Jets. Give me Sauce Gardner. These last two, it was basically a toss-up for me. Comeback Player of the Year, I was tossed because Saquon Barkley's been hurt. He had a great year this past season. Geno Smith has the story, though, going for him. And usually when it comes to this award, it's mostly either injury or the story. Very rare is it both. But in this case, I got to go Geno Smith because I feel like he has the better story. Okay? And I feel like that people are looking at it, okay, he bounced around from the Giants to the Chargers to Seattle, was a backup. Nobody expected Seattle would be anything this year. I didn't. I got clowned for it this year by my uncle. It's the only small little thing he's got to brag about with me. And he ended up having a really good year for them. Plus, he's in line for a big extension. So I'm gonna go Geno Smith because in this situation, I think the story is gonna prevail over Saquon. And Saquon, if he wins, I'm not surprised. This is literally a toss-up award. So I'm gonna go Geno Smith over Saquon for Comeback Player of the Year. Coach of the Year, I was tossed up between Daboll and Doug Peterson because Doug Peterson from 3-7 to 9-8, winning a playoff game. I know they don't factor that in, but from 3-7 to 9-8 is impressive. The Giants, I have issues with some of your fans, okay, but I told you don't get too high, and they exceeded expectations. But to be honest, this is another toss-up award. I'm going to go Brian Daboll for Coach of the Year because he had the highlight going for the win against the Titans. He had, Daniel Jones, who he made look from absolute trash to a decent quarterback. Saquon Barkley looks like the guy that was the number 2 pick in the draft. With no big-name receivers, and an offensive line that was shaky. A defense that, in my view, has very weak corners. A good front seven. They exceeded expectations. Jacksonville did too. But I think the Giants were projected worse than what Jacksonville was. And the fact that it was in a tough division where they had Dallas and Philly, and they got swept by both of those teams, but to make it as a 6th seed, when people thought they were going to be absolutely worse than that, I thought so too. It's hard not to give him Coach of the Year. So I got Brian Daboll for Coach of the Year, barely over Doug Peterson. Now let's get to the Hall of Fame class of 2023. Now, I'm going to read the 15 finalists, and I'm going to tell you the 5 that I picked. All right? So, here's the 15 finalists for the modern era Hall of Fame finalists. You ready? Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Albert Lewis, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, Darren Woodson. Those are the 15 modern era finalists, okay? Now, there's other ones where it's like senior finalists and contributors. That's like its own independent votes. That's why I didn't really touch that area because I don't know if they're going to get in. It's up to the voters of the Hall of Fame on that. But I went with the modern era because that's one where I think it's, for me, easier to pick. So let's start with the first choice that I have. For me, it's Darrelle Revis. The preeminent corner of the 2010s, although he really dominated for half that decade, but in the late 2000s, he started to really come up in terms of the best corner in the league. I think by 2008, 2009 really was when he had his first really great season. But I think 2008 it started. 2010, for like a stretch, he was nicknamed Revis Island. Nobody really tested him, and he took away the best receiver in the game for a while, right? Jets were number one defense, I think, in 2009. I don't remember what they were statistically in 2010, but he took them to 2 AFC Championship games during that time. Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Becoming a big piece for our defense that year. Tampa, he had an okay year. And then he goes back to Jets, has one really good year, and then falls off after that. But for a great corner, his stretch of dominance from, I want to say 2009 to 14 is up there with some of the great all-time corners in terms of Pro Bowls, All-Pros, where you're ranked by the peers. I got to go Darrelle Revis. He was in my division. I got to see him twice a year, sometimes 3. And he was annoying the verse. He took away T.O., Calvin, Randy Moss, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, Andre Johnson, Steve Smith. I mean, some big name receivers he took out of the game. I gotta go Darrelle Revis. That's my first choice. Second choice. I just said his name, Andre Johnson. Because when you look at the Texans, he was one of the best receivers, not just in the game, but for that team specifically. I think 2008 he had a monster season. 2009, I think he went to the Pro Bowl and had another better season, I think. And he took him to the playoffs 2011, 2012. I think he went to the Colts, I want to say it was 2015? Yes. And then he went to the Titans 2016. Around there. But for a stretch, he was one of the top 5 receivers in football for a small stretch. But consider his era, who he had, okay? You had Larry Fitzgerald, who will be in Canton. You had Randy Moss. You had Terrell Owens at that point. And I'm just trying to think. Wes Welker had a couple good years, but I wouldn't say he was up there. But he had some seasons with a great quarterback that factored in. Brandon Marshall was very good at that point with Denver and Miami and Chicago at that point. I'm just trying to think late 2000s to early 2010s. I'm just trying to think quickly there. Steve Smith from Carolina. I'm just really trying to think for a minute. You had, well, no, I wouldn't say him. Calvin Johnson. That's what I was trying to say. But that's a lot of receivers you're competing with, you know, in that era. And, I mean, you only get, I think, 1 or 2 for the All-Pro team. And, you know, the Pro Bowl's now not what it was, but back then a Pro Bowl was big, you know. But I think considering his little small stretch of when he was really good, I got to give Andre Johnson my second vote for the Hall of Fame class. Number 3, I got to go with DeMarcus Ware because he should have won Defensive Player of the Year in 2008 over James Harrison, but Ed Reed had a really close year. But DeMarcus Ware had like 20 and a half sacks that year. Okay? He was arguably the best pass rusher in the league in Dallas for a stretch. From like 2008, I want to say to like 2013. So he had like a 4, 5, 6 year stretch of being one of the best pass rushers in the league. You know, did it translate to a lot of playoff wins and stuff? No, but he was a guy you had to game plan for up front. But he had a lot of really good years with Dallas that, you know, made him a really tough guy to game plan for, to block up against. And then he goes to Denver, helps Von Miller elevate his game. And then that 2015 run in the Super Bowl where I think he had 2 sacks against Brady in the championship with Von Miller, 2 sacks in the Super Bowl against Cam Newton, and he wins it with that Broncos defense. He's got everything that a Hall of Fame resume inquires. So I think he's number 3 on my list. Number 4, Torrey Holt. Because the greatest show on turf, Torrey Holt was a big piece of that. His rookie season, he catches a touchdown in his first game, catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He was a great compliment to Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner and those guys, Marshall Faulk, Orlando Pace on the offensive line. And it's funny, but Torrey Holt's numbers were better after the greatest show on turf years. It's insane. I think he has like the most catches for an entire decade, which is crazy to believe, but it's true. And that was an era where he was in the 2000s where it was mostly, again, Marvin Harrison. It was Reggie Wayne. It was Terrell Owens. You had a lot of great receivers in the 2000s, okay? And he got to have Isaac Bruce with him for the early part of, for most of that time, until Isaac kind of wasn't the same, and then Torrey Holt picked up the numbers and stuff. But he was a very good receiver, and the greatest show on turf isn't complete without Torrey Holt. So I would give Torrey Holt my 4th vote. Number 5, he doesn't really have a lot of team success that helps him, but he's got the All-Pros, he's got the Pro Bowls to get in. I got to go Joe Thomas. Now, offensive line, he was one of the best tackles for his time from 07 to, I want to say it was 2016. I think he had 238 consecutive, or something like that of a snap streak. I don't think it's 238 snap streak. I don't know if it starts, but I know it's something where it's like a lot of snaps played until he got hurt. He had a lot of first-team All-Pro selections, a lot of Pro Bowls, and he was basically the only relevant Browns player when the Cleveland Browns were basically trash for that long stretch that he was in there. But he was the only relevant player. But he didn't really give up a lot of sacks, which is a great sign. His peers respected him a lot. And he doesn't get the notoriety of Orlando Pace, a Willie Roaf, a Jonathan Ogden, a Walter Jones, or an Anthony Munoz, but he was somebody that for the decade of 2010s, he was the best tackle in football at that point. So I got to go Joe Thomas for my 5th slot. It's okay to disagree. It's just my list. It's my opinion. I got to see some of these guys play. So that's why that I have to factor some of this stuff in. Some of the guys I didn't see play, I have to go back in the vault and try to learn more about or watch a little tape, which is fine by me. That's okay. All right, so that's my Hall of Fame voting. Now let's get to the Chiefs-Eagles game. This is the first Super Bowl in all of my life I do not like either team, for obvious reasons. You Chief bandwagons annoy me. You Chief bandwagons disgust me. Okay, the media is on your side, clearly. They want to anoint this man the GOAT. I don't like it. Okay? I don't like how somebody made their QB pyramid and has the audacity to say that Peyton Manning and Joe Montana get to be in the 2nd and 3rd spot for now until Mahomes wins on Sunday. And I know this guy's a Kansas City fan, but he's not speaking clearly. You know why? Because Peyton Manning has more MVPs and would have the same Super Bowl rings as Mahomes. Just say if Mahomes won. Same Super Bowl MVPs. No, same Super Bowl wins as Mahomes. Let me paraphrase on that. But he has 5 MVPs. Mahomes, just say wins MVP. 2. Joe Montana won 2 league MVPs. Was the standard before Tom Brady was. Explain to me how in the world he can vault those 2 guys after 5 years. Okay? Now, I know I've heard people tell me, oh, it's on the pace he's on. Okay, so let's put this now into factor. Would he be a Hall of Famer after 5 years? The media will put him in. But in my view, no. I'm sorry. No. No. It would be one of the most impressive stretches, yes. But no, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. No. No. If we're just saying his last game is Sunday, hypothetically speaking. But you Chief bandwagons and you got the media on your side, they want to crown this guy. It's annoying. But you Eagles fans are not off the hook either. Okay? We all know how Philly fans are. They are over the top. They are crazy. They are over emotional. They are too prideful. Let's put it that way. Okay? Trying to be nice about it. Even though it's hard. But I will say this. If the Eagles do win a Super Bowl, it would be their first real Super Bowl win in my book. Okay? Because those two catches, Corey Clement and Zach Ertz, they shouldn't have been catches. They shouldn't have been. But I'll save that for a different episode. But, again, Sirianni, okay, he's a good coach. But he can be a little over emotional, a little too over the top for me. He's just a little too much for me. Okay? He can be a little headache. All right? I got some Giant fans watching the show that don't like him. All right? That people don't like him. I don't blame you. This is basically a game where I'm picking the less of two evils. I hate this. Okay? I hate this. Okay? Because I don't like either of you fan bases. I don't. Okay? I really, really don't. You both annoy the shit out of me. Okay? You both are going to be annoying for an offseason. Okay? Winner of this game is going to be annoying. Okay? So this is hard for me. But non-biasedly speaking, let's get to the keys for each team. Let's start with Kansas City. If we look at how Philly lost games, Washington ran the ball, kept them off the field. Okay? They had some turnovers that plagued them. The Quez Watkins play, right? Dallas was able to hit big plays, but had a balanced offense with Zeke and Pollard, and they had some big plays on Philly's defense. Okay? And the Saints just was one of those teams that just somehow, some way got an upset in Philly on them. Granted, the Cowboys and Saints won against Minshew, but the one with Hurts is significant. Now, Kansas City's been running the ball well with Pacheco and McKinnon, and they're getting Edwards-Helaire back. But Andy Reid, we know he's going to let Mahomes do his thing. We know it, okay? But they're going to have to play balanced if they're going to win, okay? Now on the defensive side, Kansas City's dealing with a different offensive line. This is not the Bengals line, where you're just going to basically have a quick free lane of the quarterback. No. These guys are experienced. These guys are really good. Okay? Lane Johnson, All-Pro, Pro Bowler. Jason Kelsey in the middle. Okay? Two great offensive linemen on that team. It's no highway. No. Okay? So, and they can bully you in the running game. Okay? They got their problems with Chris Jones up front, but I think Philly is a run-first offense. If you take away the run and make Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm, the Chiefs, that falls right into their game plan. So I think they're going to need a balanced approach to beat Philly. 1. 2, they're going to need to stop the run because the Eagles are a run-first team. They stop the run, make Jalen Hurts one-dimensional, make him throw the ball, maybe get a takeaway or two. That's what the Chiefs need to win the game. Okay? And then I look at Philly's side. Offensively, you got to take Chris Jones out of the game. Double team him every single snap. You got the veterans up front. You got the experience, okay? They're one of the top rushing attacks in football. Run and tire that team out, okay? Keep Mahomes off the sidelines. Sustain long drives. Tire that front out. They want to rush upfield and come at you in many different blitzes that Spags wants to throw at him. Okay? But you got to tire them up front. Because if you double team Chris Jones and you tire that front out and keep Mahomes off the sideline, the script goes your way then. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is the Eagles were number 1 in sacks. They're going up against the Chiefs, who have the number 1 pass block win rate. Okay? Strength against strength. We all made a big deal about Mahomes' offensive line in the Super Bowl, right? Well, they've revamped that now, right? The Eagles got to take a picture or take a blueprint out of Tampa and San Francisco's book from a team's defense standpoint. Because those 2 Super Bowls, those teams frustrated Mahomes. The Eagles are deep in the front. They got a great back end, okay? They got to obviously take away the big play, but they got to be able to have a healthy front four that can rotate and throw different bodies at him and keep applying pressure. Make him uncomfortable. Okay? Reddick, Josh Sweat, Robert Quinn, okay? Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, all right? They are a deep front 7, okay? Bradbury, Darius Slay on the outside. They're going to have to do a good job against Juju and Valdez-Scantling and all those guys, okay? So they're going to need to take a page out of what San Francisco did and what Tampa Bay did. But they have the talent to get stops, okay? But can they apply pressure on Mahomes and make him uncomfortable and make him throw off-balance throws, make his timing off, okay? Can they flush him out of the pocket and be able to take away the big plays? That's what I want to see. How much pressure can they put on Mahomes? Because that front four is deep. They could throw multiple different bodies at him, okay? But can they get him uncomfortable throughout a whole game? That's the keys for Philly, okay? Which brings me to the pick. I hate picking the lesser 2 evils. I had to think about this pick for over a week. Torture. Okay? But a pick must be made. And I'm not rooting for anybody in this game. I'm not. No. But if you made me pick, non-biasedly, honestly speaking, I feel like Kansas City is going to win. I do. I know the Eagles have the talent to go toe-to-toe with them. I get it. But for some reason, I feel like KC's going to win. Because I feel like Mahomes just is going to have his way. And it pains me to say this, but you Chief bandwagons are going to be annoying for a whole offseason. It's going to suck. Okay? And apparently my fan base is not rooting for the Eagles. So why not, go with my fan base? Okay? It sucks because then I'll have to hear all offseason where Mahomes ranks all time and the Brady comparisons, which are absolutely ludicrous, blasphemous, okay? I'm letting you know right now, media, do not do this. I know you need topics to talk about on your show, but that's not the one. Not yet. It's too premature, okay? But the media gets everything they want, all right? It's just sadly what it is. But I'm going to go Kansas City 38-28. All right? Maybe a little hint for my guarantees tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Friday. We'll have Super Bowl 57 guarantee. It's maybe a little hint for that. So, yeah, I got the Chiefs 38-28 over the Eagles, Super Bowl 57. So, that's that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button so that way you guys can get all the notifications needed going on during the NFL season. And when we go post new episodes live and all that stuff, make sure you guys are all caught up to date. So next week we'll go over the Super Bowl, we'll recap the Super Bowl, some thoughts on that, maybe some early offseason thoughts. I don't really know what we're going to make of it. There's some big headlines floating around, but maybe we'll have a little small segment there. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys right after the Super Bowl on the next episode of Lounge Time. Have a good night, everyone.